priorities of most of the people gathering outside. My guest, however, would be sixth on the list for today at least, because the new movie focusing upon the boy band phenomenon One Direction was directed by Morgan Spurlock. And I just asked you when you came in, Morgan, presumably this is normal for you now to see the gathering of these fans, having followed the band around for the best part of a year?
About 6 months I've been with them. Yeah, no, I'd be more shocked if I showed up and there weren't fans outside.
It's unbelievable, though.
It's incredible. There apparently have been fans camping out since Saturday for the premiere tonight. It is, and
that's for a glimpse, right? A glimpse and a wave.
That's right, a glimpse and a wave, and they'll get a little more. I mean, the boys are going to walk the line, so they'll probably get a chance to either get an autograph or a photo. So it's pretty exciting.
It is exciting. There's an infectious excitement to it as well. Yeah. Not just the band, but the film that you've made as well. One Direction, This Is Us. Can I level with you, mate?
Yeah.
When the email came through saying, do you want to interview the director of the One Direction film? I thought I'd rather claw my eyes out with a rusty spoon. And then the email came out saying it's Morgan Spurlock. And I actually thought they were yanking my chain. I thought, no, it isn't. Don't be daft. You mean the Super Size Me guy? The guy who did the Osama bin Laden film? The guy who made the movie about the perils of product placement by making a film funded entirely by product placement? He's a professional cynic.
Yeah.
What's he doing with One Direction?
Making a great movie, making a dockbuster.
What was the appeal? I mean, what was the?
Well, for me,
how did it come about?
Well, I love the idea of making a film and capturing a moment in time with these guys as they are literally becoming this massive global phenomenon. Like we got to go out and be with them on the road as they were traveling to European countries, to Asia, to places they'd never been, and you're seeing the real expansion of this phenomenon in a way that I think is unprecedented. People love to look at them and think it's just some sort of an Anglo fascination. Oh, it's just the Brits or just Americans, and to kind of see people chasing the bus down the street in Tokyo or camping outside the hotel in Mexico City where there were like 4,000 fans for 5 days. I mean, it is an amazing thing to witness.
Unprecedented or just the latest incarnation of Beatlemania?
Unprecedented for me. I mean, in my lifetime, This is the closest thing I've ever seen to what I imagine Beatlemania was. And that's
not a musical judgment. That is a simple description of the
fandom.
The hysteria and the devotion of these fans.
Of these fans who literally will scream and cry just when they see them, for an instant. I mean, it is remarkable.
And there's a brilliant little segment early in the film where you get a neuroscientist to actually explain what is going on in the brains of these girls. Yeah. It's quite straightforward when you see it in front of you, that there's a release of dopamines involved in the hysteria and the excitement that becomes, if not addictive, then certainly compelling for the people to feel.
Yeah. And so when you see these fans, now you know exactly why they're screaming and shaking and trembling and crying. And it's,
that's right. And yet, you also, quite fast upon that scene, we see the Svengali, the sinister Svengali that is Simon Cowell, explaining in his characteristically deadpan fashion just why he is the most important person on the planet. And he's the executive producer, he's the producer of the film. So, I mean, the reason I expressed surprise at your involvement in this project was that if you have your reputation is for looking under rocks and perhaps shining lights into corners that the man doesn't want the public to see. You wouldn't have been able to put anything in this film that Simon Cowell hadn't approved.
Yeah, well, I think that, luckily I got to make the movie that I wanted to make. I think that... we had many conversations over the course of making this film with Simon, and, it wasn't like he was pulling the strings with me, and, there's a lot of people like to believe, but isn't true, like he's pulling the strings with the band, which also doesn't happen either. I mean, what I found to be really fascinating, there was a great scene that didn't make it in the film because there was no way to really put it in, is the boys have these meetings where they vote on everything that happens. They have this little democracy that happens with the band where the 5 of them decide, do they add more tour dates? Do they merchandise this product? Do they have this person sponsor the tour? Okay. Like these 5 guys now are presented with these, possibilities, and they vote. They literally decide the direction of One Direction.
There's an odd number, isn't it?
I guess right. Yeah, if there were 4, they'd be screwed. Yeah, but luckily now so 3 votes wins.
You could have a problem. And you say, picking up on that, I mean, there was one point where Simon Cowell said they hadn't even released a record at this point, and the momentum was already huge. In a sense, I accept what you say about the phenomenon reaching a new level, but you were jumping on a bandwagon that was already moving at great speed.
We were jumping on a bandwagon that had the train had already left the station. It just hadn't kind of gone very far. They'd spread into Europe. They'd had popularity, but they just hadn't visited these places. So the band already had fans all over the globe, but had never gone there to kind of be there to kind of press the flesh with the fans in person. And so to capture that was really remarkable. When you look at them and you watch the film, you see a band, the first band in history that has ever been really kind of launched and championed by fans through social media.
Yes.
They literally owe their careers to Twitter and to the people that were there kind of tweeting about them, writing about them, saying, oh my God, they're beautiful. You have to go see them. So when they went to Europe for the first time years ago, post X Factor, there were thousands of fans waiting just to see them because girls throughout the UK were like, you have to look at them. You have to see them in person.
And it's funny, one mum's been in touch, Linda, saying her daughter is 13, completely dedicated to One Direction, fits into precisely the categories you describe.
Yeah.
I was obsessed with the monkeys, she says, and the biggest thing I got out of it was a sense of belonging. I can see that in my daughter's behaviour now.
Yeah, it's true.
It is, isn't it?
Well, and that's what I compare to a lot of people. I said what these girls love, and and I've been a fan of a lot of things, but never this level of fandom.
You ever camped out?
I never camped out, never. But do I wear a football jersey? Do I represent my team?
Yeah.
There's no difference between what these girls do and the belonging they feel in this this peer group than guys when they go to Liverpool or they go to Chelsea. They're watching their teams play. It's a very similar passion that they have. And there is a group belonging that comes with that of we are on the same team. We're voting, we're rooting for the same things.
It was clear, well, I think it was,
Yeah.
that you liked them. Well,
I think they are incredibly charming, and for me the goal from the beginning was getting access to them, getting them to be honest about how they felt, not holding anything back. And there was a real trust that we had with each other, and I think that comes across in the movie.
It does. Was anything off limits? Nothing at all?
Not from day one, which was great.
The perhaps most moving moment was when one of their dads, and you'll forgive me,
Liam.
It
was Liam's dad.
I can kind of when they changed their haircuts halfway through, Morgan, that was me done. I needed them to wear name badges. Seriously, his dad talking about almost having his son stolen from him. There's just a little line about I didn't have much to offer. I'm getting well up talking about this. He said I didn't have much to offer my boy, just to go drinking and play snooker. And then, as he said, I'm never going to have that. He was the only fella in the family.
And now he's gone.
And now he's gone. That was a really sort of traffic stopping moment.
There are some really beautiful moments with the family in the film. I mean, these kids come.
Zane buys a house for his mum. That set me off as well.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's true. Me too.
That was a lovely moment.
Apart from him ruining it for every other kid that's out there right now, because now every mom and dad's gonna be like, "See what he did? See what he did for me? Get to work, you."
But that's why you like them. I mean, that's what came across.
And they come from good stock. They come from great families, and I think that's what makes them, I think, good people. I think, at their hearts, they are what I tell people all the time, because I always get asked, like, what does it take to make it in this business? And I always tell them, I said, you have to work hard and you have to stay humble. Work hard, stay humble. That is like the easiest things you can do. And they've done that. And you see in the film exactly how hard they work. Like, you don't get a sense of that. Like, you think it's easy for them. Nothing ever happens. They just show up. They get paid millions of dollars. But you see the amount of time that it takes to be in a band like One Direction, where from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed, their day is regimented.
And it's the absence as well. The sheer absence from anything that resembles normality.
That's right.
For months.
And thank goodness. I mean, the thing is, the other grounding factor they have is each other. They haven't had a Bieber-esque moment because each one of these guys have four other guys who understand what it's like to be in this band.
And we'll give them a bit of a talking to if they seem to be sort of veering over the line.
Who'll keep them in check.
One thing that does puzzle me, it obviously, there's no shortage of people who are going to hand over their money to go and see this film.
Yeah.
But someone who's not obsessed with One Direction, I think would quite enjoy it. The challenge you have, it's more the marketing department now, your work is done. How on earth are you going to tempt people who are ambivalent towards One Direction to come and see a film which is all about One Direction?
Well, I think a lot of fans will take people who aren't fans of One Direction. I think, whether it be parents, I think, kids will get parents to come. I think kids will get friends to come. And, and I tell people, I said, listen, I challenge you to go see this movie and not walk out of this movie liking these guys because they are incredibly likable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, well, I mean, I can't argue with that. I'm not averse to the whole boy band phenomenon anyway, but they did come across as just decent fellas, really.
And I also, what I love about the film is it's some of the best 3D. I mean, Tom Kruger.
I was about to ask you about that.
Tom Kruger, who was our director of photography, who did the film U2 3D, which is a brilliant 3D film, and I think this completely surpasses the 3D that was in that movie. I think he just knocked it out of the park. He's a brilliant, brilliant DP. And I mean, the 3D in this film is rich. It's deep. You really have these great. I mean, it just enhances the intimacy in a way that I've never seen in a movie.
Yes, except 3D in some quarters is perceived as not really having scaled the dizziest heights that creatively that it was expected to. I mean, some studios now are turning away from it, aren't they?
Well, I think that's the problem. Is people wanted to push it so far to the limits where it's almost like everything's flying out at you.
Yeah.
And what I think is it shouldn't be creating that. It should be creating realism. And so this film feels very real without having all that.
Because it's immersive.
It's
isn't it?
immersive.
It draws you in a way that couldn't do in 2D.
And that's exactly what I think good 3D should do.
I get that. What do you? Well, actually, two more questions.
Yeah.
Your friends and colleagues in the documentary making fraternity, it can be quite an earnest circle, can't it? How did they respond to news that you were going big?
And listen, every friend of mine in the doc world was like, well, of course you'll make this movie. Of course you would. It's like, why would you say no to this?
Yeah.
You know, as a documentary filmmaker, opportunities like this are few and far between.
And what do you want to point your camera at? Things that are hard to understand. And what could be harder to understand than the thousands of girls camped outside this studio at this?
That's
Do
right.
they recognize you when you walk past?
Nobody wants to talk to this
mug.
mug.
A little
Come
bit.
on,
You've breathed the same air.
Can I just touch you? You've touched them all. Can I just touch you?
No, I'm the man that spoke to the man that made a film about One Direction. And what are you going to do next, Morgan? What's next?
Next is I really want to do a scripted feature. A narrative film. So hopefully on the heels of this, we'll go into production on a big narrative movie.
Have you got your eye on any subject matter? Or?
Yeah, a couple.
You're being coy.
I'm not going to tell you.
He's been hanging out with pop stars for
That's
too
right,
long.
exactly.
I'm sorry, I can't go there. Morgan Spurlock. The film is released on Friday, is it? Presumably?
Next Friday, the 30th.
Friday the 30th. One Direction. This Is Us. It's unlikely that you're going to go and see it unless, as Morgan says, you are taken along by someone who's already utterly obsessed. But don't resist that invitation. Would be my advice to you.
You'll enjoy it.
You will enjoy it.
It's a fun movie.
You'll come out probably slightly happier than you went in, whether you want to or not. Morgan Spurlock, it's been a pleasure.
Cheers, thanks.
Thank you. The time is approaching 12 noon. You're listening to James O'Brien on LBC 97.3. Up next, the frankly remarkable revelation that it's controversial to suggest that exams should be marked down if the grammar on the papers is poor. I truly can't get my head around that. I need your help in doing so after this.
On FM, online and digital radio, London's biggest conversation.